Wakale ni wangapi, Wajaluo ni wangapi. Let's come on. Let reality be faced. Kenyans are not interested because you don't give them the incentive. You don't register them at the door. Kenya has a lot of money. You'll find them coming for benchmarking, going to wine and drink and wine glasses, the White House here. But they don't tell Americans that this is what we want for our people, like what has happened in Burkina Faso. They go there to sing, to dine and to beg and to look big in suits. Trust me, probably in my presidency, my ministers may not wear those suits unless they account for them. The problem with us, with the promises, is whenever we start something in Kenya, we start with a prayer, we tell lies, and then we close by prayer.
With a prayer, yeah.
We have to look into that analogy and find out what went wrong. Are we deceiving God when we start mocking God by starting with prayers? That's something we can look into. You can call me what you want, but these things are doable. Maybe a madman is required to bring change in that country, and probably that madman is me.
This is the One Mic Show. How are we not sure that Wajackoyah is going to suffer amnesia when elected by forgetting the development of Kenya and the public as a whole? I think that's a good question for you to address, because this is a syndrome, like Kenyans have been suffering. We currently have a president who promised and overpromised, and within a very short time, especially the people who supported him, realized that most of those promises will not be delivered. So this is something that Kenyans are afraid of.
I will start by saying, or calling myself a caricature. I am a caricature. I'll come to that later on, because not very many people understand what a caricature is. But you can look at it, define it, spit on it, laugh on it, and what have you. The problem with us, with the promises, is whenever we start something in Kenya, we start with a prayer, we tell lies, and then we close by prayer.
With a prayer, yeah.
We have to look into that analogy and find out what went wrong. Are we deceiving God when we start mocking God by starting with prayers? That's something we can look into. Secondly, you did mention about the Constitution, or suspending the Constitution, what have you. Yes, we shall. We shall apply the preamble, and we can suspend anything for the benefit of Kenyans and go for a referendum to review part of the Constitution that has gone wrong. Kenya has got a Constitution written on 268 pages. 268 pages full of garbage can, as compared to the American Constitution, which is only on how many pages?
It's 4 pages. 1, 2, 3, 4, yes.
And what's important on that page? There are 3 things. The Article 1 of the United States Constitution, the Article 2 of the United States Constitution, and the Article 3 of the United States Constitution. Those 3 articles give what we call separation of powers. And within that genesis of separation of powers, you'll find out that there are border points and limitations. But the key point, or the key value of those 3 is Congress. Whatever Congress says, whatever Congress donates powers.
Yes.
Whatever Congress says.
Yeah.
And they have only amended this constitution how many times?
Is it 20 something times?
28?
Is it 25? I think it's 25, yeah.
And the most fundamental part of the amended constitution is the 14th Amendment. Apart from the 4th Amendment, the 5th Amendment, and the 6th Amendment, which cannot be tampered with. Now look at the Kenyan system. The whole thing stinks. That's why I call, in garbage can theory, we call it, that garbage needs fumigation. And the only person who can do fumigation is this man who is sitting here. Because I do understand what it is. I've been involved in politics around the world. I myself has run as a member of parliament for Tottenham. It's defeated by the current Deputy Prime Minister, Mr. David Lamy, who is also a foreign secretary. Therefore, we know what we are looking into and what we want. And that's why I'm defining myself as a caricature of maybe of the 11th century or 6th century, like Socrates and what have you. You can call me what you want, but these things are doable. Maybe a madman is required to bring change in that country, and probably that madman is me.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. This is so shocking, Ali. It's even beyond what I expected. But again,
so Ali, what do you call a madman in Kiswahili?
Mwenda wazimu.
Okay.
Ama kicha. Okay, but here Sada was saying, how can we ensure that U.S. residents in the diaspora can be ready to vote? They are currently required to travel to Washington, D.C. Are there better ways of doing this? And I think, of course,
yes.
you've already addressed that.
I think I should address that.
Yes,
It's
go
very
ahead.
core and very key to my... you remember I told you about compulsory registration, voter registration at the age of 18, which Roots Party will make sure that will be debated and passed, if not even by decree or dictatorship. Now, when it comes to voter registration in this country,
Yes.
you'll find out, and I'll give you a very shocking example, that in the last election, we only had 100 Kenyans that registered. Only 100 Kenyans registered in the United States. Why? Because they make it fundamentally impossible. They put registration stations in Washington, D.C., and probably at the consulate in
New York.
New York
And
LA.
Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But then imagine how the diversity of this country and the paper issues that Kenyans have, which I will also address at at another point, and the loss of sovereignty for Kenyans who have lost value because of their papers and who has been left infertile instead of the government coming to their rescue. How do you expect a Kenyan from Atlanta who is working 2 jobs to make a living, who probably does not have papers because of the circumstances, and we all have gone through that, to go to New York or to go to the embassy, the Kenyan embassy here, to register as a voter? In our days, there was too much tragic conflict of interest at the embassy. You go in there, maybe you'll stay for the whole day. Nobody wants to take care of you or to look at you. It's like huyo Mkenya amekuja kufanya nini, atukuregister, atukwenda uchukue karatasi ukae huko. That was the norm that particular time, and tribalism coming in, and then you'll be like, Wakale ni wangapi, Wajaluo ni wangapi, let's come on, let reality be faced. Kenyans are not interested because you don't give them the incentive. You don't register them at the door. Kenya has a lot of money. You'll find them coming for benchmarking, going to wine and drink and wine glasses, the White House here. But they don't tell Americans that this is what we want for our people, like what has happened in Burkina Faso. They go there to sing, to dine, and to beg, and to look big in suits. Trust me, probably in my presidency, my ministers may not wear those suits unless they account for them.
Number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. That's Prof. Wajackoyah speaking. We have quite a number of comments coming in here. I'm gonna be reading them, but I want us to move on a little bit forward here. On Facebook, I can see Washeke is tuning in Mar-a-Lago, trying to end the shutdown. And then she's saying spot on Mika, and then Afro-Jamaican Kaiser Soze says, I like this guy. This is his first time interacting with you, and clearly he already likes you. And Stephen JJ says chonjo chonjo. Now I want to remind now before we actually get there, when just talking about voting and elections, we have our neighbors in Tanzania, mainland, who have been rocked by their first major post-election violence in the recently concluded polls. I don't know that to call this their Gen Z moment or to call this their Saba Saba moment, because Tanzania is a bit behind in that respect. Now, most independent observers have tagged it as a sham election that did not meet the minimum acceptable standards. We also know that the opposition leader, Chadema's Tundu Lissu, has been locked up since April on charges of treason. We saw you earlier with Chadema members here in DC. There was a message from the jail leader. So, Prof, what was Tundu Lissu's message to East Africans out here in DC and in the US at large? Let's go to Tanzania, Prof.
First of all, thank you very much for asking that question. Tundu Lissu was my classmate at Warwick University some years ago. And currently, I'm also the lawyer, one of the lawyers for Chadema. You may remember, or if you can Google, that when the late Magufuli violated the constitution and threw a lot of members of parliament for Chadema, including God bless Lema for Arusha Mjini, I was the one who designed an escape route through Namanga, where I used my skills and went into Tanzania and escaped with 5 members of parliament who had been incarcerated. That is something that is for another day. So,
So you entered Tanzania and helped them exit.
To escape, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a big story. And
Prof, isn't that
alisema mwendazimu?
Yeah, isn't that illegal, Prof?
What is illegal with saving a soul that is fighting for rights?
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Ali, yani unaona vile hata amekutolea nini?
No, ni kweli. And is God bless Lema the one who's in exile currently?
One I worked on his case until he was taken to Canada.
Canada, yes.
And a lot of them, even from Roria, there were a lot of Luo community and members of parliament, Kina Wenje and what have you.
Yes.
Being a household name from that time in Tanzania, Tundu Lissu and the Chadema party, and having hosted them in Nairobi for almost 4 months in my office, and very close to me, and the message that was given to me by Tundu Lissu is not for disclosure.
Okay.
That was yesterday.
Okay. So it's privileged information.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. We of course are following what's happening in Tanzania, and we wish them all the best. They're going through a very difficult time, but we are hoping that they will emerge from it.
Because whatever is going on is crazy, because it is important, I think, also just to mention, or to talk about it at least, in that the happenings, what's going on, because you find that at some point reports coming out that 31 million people voted, whatever. Then it was such a short count, and then she was declared. There's even a speech when she was giving the speech. There were 17. In total, there were 17 aspirants. But she came out as the winner.
98%.
98%.
Yeah.
Right? And it's and there's also inferences of outsiders.
Yeah.
Technically Kenya.
Yeah.
Supposedly
Kenya.
Whatever.
When
causing
Kenya,
brouhaha.
When you say Kenya without mentioning Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but because she's not mentioning Kenya, but like
Kenya.
infiltrators and whatever, and then the reports coming out of the Kenyan who was shot, who was legally there, a teacher working there legally, had the papers, but the inference or the message being portrayed was a Kenyan shot, and then it's all tied into protests and whatever.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah, but I think
so. It's kind of. But it's an awakening for Tanzania.
And I think even the most ardent supporters of CCM agree that this was a sham election.
Of course.
Because I think even the people...
Even like in a Diamond and them?
That's a whole other story.
That has commercial ramifications. Should I say it has financial ramifications? So you can't really...
I think what's fair... I think what's fair is to get some of the Tanzanians that we have that we actually have here to come and talk to us. And one thing that we are learning with this experience is that Kenya is so advanced. We've gone through experiences where we're even being told when you interview a Tanzanian, you cannot ask this and you cannot ask that. So we sometimes take this for granted.
We sure do.
Yeah, we take this for granted. But I'm people in other countries are even scared of talking when they were abroad. And that's why we thank people like Prof who went into exile. There's multiple people who went into exile so that we can have the right to do even what we're doing today.
True.
There are many people who watch what we're doing and what we talk about, and they cannot do that about their country. So I think this is a topic that we are going to get to.
And think that they'll be able to enter their borders back again.
Yes.
Without being persecuted.
Yes, exactly. I want to remind the listeners that you're tuned into the One Mic Show, and I'm your host and producer, Ali Badawi. We are talking to presidential candidate and Roots Party of Kenya leader, Professor George Luchiri Wajackoyah. He's just talked to us about his current trip in the US and why diaspora still matters in Kenyan politics. But now we shift gears from Wajackoyah, the presidential candidate, to the dusty roads of Mumias, where it all began. We'll shortly be tracing his journey from being an abandoned child in Western Kenya to living in exile for almost 2 decades and still daring to run for president. So I want you to stay tuned for that. We'll also talk about what life in exile really looks like, the turning point that changed everything, and yes, we'll once and for all settle the rumors on does Wajackoyah really charms snakes and smoke ganja in his free time. That will be settled today, so no worries about that. And our lines are open. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak, so feel free to call in. Now, Prof, I want us to now go back a little bit in time. Before this eccentric image and persona of Wajackoyah that most Kenyans are familiar with today, you live in exile for nearly 20 years before returning back home. Now, before going to exile, you worked for the intelligence services in Moi's government, and then way back where it all started in Mumias, you were abandoned as a teen and became a street boy. So for the benefit of those that are not familiar with, for those who are maybe only familiar with the durag wearing bearded snake charmer and ganja farmer, walk us back from where it all started in Mumias to becoming a presidential candidate in 2022, going against giants like William Ruto and the late Raila Odinga. Prof, twende kazi.
Born on 24th October 1959, 66 years old.
Wow.
Last October.
Okay.
Brought myself up after a separation of my dad and mom for reasons that I cannot say here because I've healed. Because it becomes very emotional when I remember what I went through when I was a young child. I was left at the disposition of my grandparents, whereby I became a hats boy. But that was the best experience I had, and that's what I would like my children also to go through, to know that life is not what you see. At my young age, while I was tending animals, cows, I was hit by a python, and I was unconscious, I think, for some time. And the python was killed, but still I was unconscious. I have marks everywhere on my body. If I have, if I have to remove my T-shirt, you might run away because of the scars that are inhibited from the snake. At one point, while at school, and I used to walk for at least 8 miles from Buhui Primary School to Indangalasia. It was actually 8 miles. I was hit by lightning. It was lunchtime when we went to take refuge in the market before going back for the afternoon classes. I was hit by lightning and 4 people died, but I was burned one side. I don't know what the police did when they were recruiting me. They never saw this mark. They only saw it after I graduated from Kenya Police College. Then at one time, life was very unbearable. I had to stow away going to look for my mom, and I took my route to Busia. In Busia town, I was actually, I went where this coastal petrol tankers, we used to have a logistics company which used to take oil, petroleum to Uganda. I got somebody there, he was talking to me, he was a driver to one of those tankers. He put me in the lorry or tank and found myself in Nairobi. But what is intriguing is that this man went to buy milk and he left me in the house and I never saw him again.
Oh, wow.
I was told that he had been hit by a lorry in Jogoo Road. But later on I came to learn that he was gay. He was gay and probably I was his
you were a target
that particular time. And God saved me from that. So while in Nairobi, I became a street kid and Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. That time they were giving food to the kids in the streets. And then I was lured into that, and then they took me to the temple and they gave me a roof on my head. I stayed in the temple for a while until members of the Asian community who were worshipping in that particular temple in Ngara took me to school. When I advanced, one Asian, Mr. Ramlal Sharma of City High School, which is now Pioneer International University, may God rest his soul, took me to school, and now I used to do manual jobs, cleaning 40 classrooms with other workers. And then I was living in the store adjacent to that. Then one day, JJ Kamodo came in. He was his friend, and he was Minister for Education, Higher Education, while Professor Jonathan Ngeno was Minister for Basic Education. So every time JJ came in, I used to clean his car. So he became familiar to me. And then Sharma would tell him that, yes, I'm taking him to school. You know, that pride.
Yes.
I've taken an African child. I'm taking him to school just to get those favors to show that actually he was a good man. After Form 4, Kamodo came in when the results had just come out, and he said, Kamwana, what did you get? I said, I got Division 3. What do you want to do? I said, I want to go to high school. That's how Kamodo took, later on arranged, and I went to Mumias Boys with a letter and a check to pay fees.
Wow. Okay.
So at Mumias High School, I tried. It was a new school. I got one principal and 3 subsidiaries. Went back to Nairobi, taught at Ravel Secondary School, where I taught the late Jacob Midio. Taught at City High School, my former school. And then I was taken into the police as a police constable.
Okay.
I went to Kiganjo, trained as a police constable. I was posted back to Central Police Station, where I came to work. Then, because I was an A-level police constable, an order came from the Inspector General of Police, that time Commissioner of Police, requiring all the A-level police officers to go back to Kiganjo to be trained into under special inspectorate course. I went to Kiganjo, I did it, and then I was reposted back to Central. Then I was deployed to Pangani Police Station, where I became an OC crime. From Pangani Police Station, there was Kasarani All African Games Stadium to be opened.
88.
So we were taken to Kasarani, and I became the officer in charge of the police post, because it was a post that particular time. I was young, slender, with the pip. That's my moja hapa. Then when the stadium was opened, James Kanyotu, the then director of intelligence, had a lot of interest in me. And he said, young man, why can't you just join the intelligence? And that's the best thing that I ever did. I joined the intelligence, worked for years, trained both inside and outside the country. And that's how I came across to be bestowed to do the Dr. Ouko inquiry. That time I was the personal assistant to Kanyotu. The only PA Kanyotu ever had in this world was me, for a number of years. And because of that trust, I was commissioned to investigate Ouko's murder. And then when things went south, I was detained, beaten, tortured, until Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. And that's why my history with the Jaramogis is deeper than what people did. Jaramogi, through Smith Hemstone, the then
US ambassador,
and Raila's wife, Ida, they arranged for me to escape. So I was taken to Lufthansa airline, cargo airline in Bakassi, not JKIA. That's how I was able to escape to Germany. Then from Germany, I was brought here. And then I was brought to London. Then Independent Television News and the Guardian newspaper, they took charge. The journalists who were investigating Ouko's death took charge of me. Then asylum issues came in. Then I became a refugee. And then I started it off as a security guard, as a bus driver, as a grave digger. And I learned from the art of the streets in London. I advanced from the streets of Nairobi to a policeman, now again back to the streets of London. And I'm telling you that being street smart can make you a caricature, that people don't understand where you're coming. So I went to law school. James Orengo smuggled my papers from City High School to enable me to enroll. And that's how I enrolled in Wolverhampton University, Holborn College. And while I was working as a night guard, I was also doing grave diggings on Saturdays. And there's a time during holidays, I was a bus driver, those red buses. And that's how I made things work out. So I did the first degree, and I went to University of London for my first master's, went to Warwick for another master's. And because of my accent, which has never changed, I went to law school until I don't know, got how many degrees. So I became a permanent student, but then I also became a liberator. I joined the students' unions to fight for African freedoms. And that's one thing that people do not know about me. That's why I'm a caricature. They look at me as a fool. They design me the way they want to design me. And you know what Kenyans in DC did for me, but I kept quiet and I survived. So we went to Mozambique, fought in Mozambique. We fought in Eritrea. We actually looked at the Angolan situation. And then we teamed up with other African presidents, including the late Jerry Rawlings. And when Moi was at the peak of murdering Kenyans, we showed him dust. We formed a movement to topple him. Actually, to topple him. Because he was a dictator. There was no rule of law.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you say that you are going to follow law? So we wanted him overthrown. And then things worked out the other way around. So we were able to bring in the Fera. The people had been condemned to death, led by Wangamati. We convinced Museveni through Jory Rawlings for them to be taken to Ghana. And that's why we fought a clean war. And I'm very happy that most of my friends that we were with became leaders in some of those countries.
Wow. I mean, this is so compelling. You know, Mike.
No. Because you had me at where you have been brought in, you're now investigating
Ouko's murder.
And then things went south. And I'm like, okay, how did things go south? Where did things go south? What? For you to have to be smuggled out that window.
What did you know?
Because it is I think it's crucial to know.
What
because this is history that we are learning.
This is history because I remember we were young at that time, and there was that Ouko inquiry that was every day.
Yeah, because you had the Scotland Yard coming in.
Yeah.
And then
true. So what is it that maybe you saw that you were not supposed to see? You can now reveal it.
I cannot reveal it until the right time comes, when I'm the president of that country.
I think that the people are still alive.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. And this is quite a compelling story. This is a side that a lot of people
but if you're
don't
able
know.
to talk about it.
Yeah.
You talk until a certain point, then you chill.
Yeah.
Without mentioning names.
Yeah.
Because no one has been vilified.
Yes, and I can still see that intelligence training still there. Because people in intelligence, they'll talk to you, but they know where to stop.
Kuna kalaini.
Yeah, they know where to make a hard stop.
They align and say, hey, apa.
Yeah, and
are you saying it's like Robert Mueller?
No, not Robert Mueller. There's a guy.
Just call me. But Robert Mueller said, you can't prosecute a sitting president.
Yes, and then there was the guy who I don't know whether you guys watch this podcast called The Diary of a CEO. There's a guy with long hair who was former CEO.
I haven't watched that one.
Yeah, you need to watch it. Very, very interesting. But anyway,
because the thing is, from what Prof has said, the questions that are going to arise.
Yeah,
that one is. Because when he says what he's saying, technically he's also invoking the Fifth Amendment. He's saying, beyond this, I plead the Fifth.
No, and things were quite serious at that particular time in Kenya. I mean,
but isn't there something? Don't we have something like about statute of limitations? Whenever that happened.
Which one are you saying, for whistleblowers, or what are you talking about?
Like Robert Ouko, because
boss.
Yeah, anyway.
Amazing stories
out here,
boss.
Mika has something to say. Let Mika say. But before Mika you speak, I just want to read Afro-Jamaican's comment. Afro-Jamaican says, "Whoa, what a full life." And he's only in his 60s. A very accomplished man. So Afro-Jamaican, amekubali, if he gets his Kenyan citizenship, I think
Afro-Jamaican will become
and him, because he wants
representative.
He wants to be a Kenyan citizen.
I'm an immigration lawyer in Kenya. He's welcome.
Okay.
Afro-Jamaican, we will tie you in with him.
We'll tie you in.
We had you. We had your question.
And I'm also an immigration lawyer here and in the UK. That's why I got my PhD in immigration the other day.
Oh my goodness!
So
now you see, Afro-Jamaican's dream is to become a Kenyan. Have you ever met? Yeah,
he's a Jamaican, born in Jamaica,
lives
in Canada, is a Canadian citizen, but wants to go back to the motherland.
The law allows him to become a citizen.
Okay.
You can advise him on the ways of becoming a citizen of Kenya.
We will connect you. He's been having some trouble with that. We will connect you.
There are some people who've been asking for envelopes that keep getting browner.
Yeah, but
he can come and visit the country do what you call
he was
It
there.
was actually last year. This
No, he was there
this-
like 2 months ago.
2 months ago.
He
3 months
regularly goes to
Yeah,
Kenya.
he just came back
then
from
let
2
him
months ago.
come. He's welcome.
Hii
Kenya is
story
a free
waongee
country.
Brian. Sasa mnaweka
Welcome
biashara ya
to
Afro Jamaica ni yote kwa ready.
We can-
Hapana,
okay.
hatujaweka
Siali,
biashara bana. Siasha yeye ndiye ameweka na
Yeye ndiye
ameshasema.
aliweka, ilikuwa
he even ha-
TikTok.
He even has a
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
we shall assist a brother to come back. And that's why when I become the president, I'll do away with these mimics and miniokas of having blacks coming in the country. You see, like Burkina Faso, the president of Burkina Faso has said, you can come in without a visa so long as you're black and you can stay.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Kenya doesn't want that
Yeah,
at the
because
moment.
of colonial mediocrity.
I know. I know. Mika, you had something you wanted to add. Mika.
Muka alitoa bunduki. Go ahead, Mika.
For me, first of all, Prof, that's a very intriguing story that you gave to us about your life. And the funny thing is that when you were mentioning that you used to walk from Buhui to Indangalasia, that is literally where I'm from. Ouko ni kwetu. I'm from Butla.
Oh, Ulange Butula.
Anga Butula ndi Maraj.
Yes, in the marriage.
Okay. French.
Chief Louis,
French
uko hapo,
imeanza.
uko hapo.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
Mika.
It was very relatable to me because those are places that I've gone to, and I could actually picture the distance. And
It's not close.
when he says 8 miles is being modest, that is a long. That's a long way. It's a long way for somebody to be working every day. But another intriguing thing about your life is that how you just kept on going. Like there was no other choice. You just kept on going. It's one thing that should be inspirational to anybody or who just listen to it is that despite whatever challenges that you faced in life, you just kept going. Like, what's the secret to that? Just keep going on and on and on and on. Like a lot of us would have given up. Hiyo siku ya Python too.
That's true.
Prof. What's the
Yeah,
secret?
what's the
Your
secret?
Python.
What's the secret
What's
of
the
keeping
secret?
walking?
Yeah.
You know.
To keep going.
Yeah, thank you. Right now I'm 66 with a beard.
Mm-hmm.
I look frugal, and that's what I am. That's my definition.
Mm.
One thing is self-determination and consciousness. I learned so much in Hare Krishna about meditation, the do's and don'ts, the eateries and no eateries, the behavioral structure and non-behavioral structure.
Mm.
And from Hare Krishna I learned, and I adapted their custom, Hindu custom. I don't drink alcohol at all.
Mm.
I don't eat meat. I don't eat fish. I don't even. We leave it there.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can
So
fill in the
it
blanks.
is the believing, the meanness. Who is me? What am I designed of? What kind of character do I want to be? Do I want to be a loner, a range loner, and do something extraordinary, like what Pilato did, Socrates, and the great men and women of the 8th AD, 4th AD, and 17th century? Do I want to be a character of those centuries in this century? Can I do something better than them? How do I design myself? You look at Foucault, a great character, French character, who for so many years was considered a madman because he was depicting a body with pain, how doctors and scientists look at human body and dissect it with pain. So he developed a language. It was not until 1952 when he was called in Harvard by Mr. Harvard himself to come and give a lecture about his language, that the Harvard University, which was by then in a small house, recognized the talents of this person and gave him 8 PhDs, and that language you have in hospitals today was started by Foucault. Now you tell me, if Foucault was here today, how do you look at Foucault? And that's the caricature in Wajackoyah today. People look at me as they would have looked at Foucault at that particular time. People look at me as they would have looked at Socrates at that particular time. Because of extraordinary way of behavior, character and characteristics. Doing things that no normal human beings will do. Saying things that that a so-called person from a moral society will look at it as obscene, as nonsensical, as obnoxious. That's me.
Wow. Okay. All right. that is quite intriguing. And then here, Afro-Jamaican again. I mean, Afro-Jamaican is just very compelled. He says he needs a publicist PR person. His story is inspiring, and I think he can make an impact. Afro-Jamaican, this is... Every Kenyan knows who Wajackoyah is. And I think Afro-Jamaican is coming into contact with you for the first time.
Oh, this is his first time, maybe?
I believe this is his first time. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes, I think this is his first time. So...
You can call in
So I think, yes.
Yeah, for Jamaican, dial that number. Let's hear what you have to say.
Yes, 202-683-4570, press star 5 to speak. And Waithira Kathy says, much respect to Prof, qualified, highly educated, and also exposed to successful Western democracy. How will Prof reach out or connect to the millions of Kenyans who don't associate success with recreational herbal activity? Are Kenyans ready to be swayed? And with this question that Waithira is asking, maybe this is the point where I need to ask you, Prof, this image of a durag wearing, bearded snake charmer and ganja farmer, how much of this is literal versus just being symbolic? Is this branding for survival in a crowded political arena? Or does Prof George Luchiri Wajackoyah really charm snakes and smoke ganja in his free time?
And I think he forgot in his manifesto, selling dog meat.
Yes, we're going to talk about that.
Okay,
we're going to talk about that. We want to know about the
snake charmer,
what Waithira called
right?
recreational herbal activity. Is this something that you partake in? Because what you talked about, Hare Krishna, I don't know whether it allows this recreational herbal activity that people have come to associate you with.
First of all, I'll put a footnote on what I said about Hare Krishna. It was a belief that was not compulsory. It does not disbar me or bar me from doing anything that I want.
Or it's a choice.
Now, number two, anyone who is listening to me should go on Google and Google Menelik II. Menelik II. What comes out of Menelik II is a durag.
Is that the Ethiopian emperor?
Yes.
Okay.
That durag had symbolic meaning at that particular time. He was resisting the Italian invasion. And he said that until the Italians are kicked out of, you can see, there it is, kicked out of Ethiopia, he will not relent and will never remove his durag. Now, if I may pose a question, do African Americans wear durags?
Yes.
Yeah, they sure do.
Anyone ever wanted to find out why they wear durags?
No.
So I can get calicate.
Well, if you look at the history and the precedent that was laid by Menelik II, you go back, because I'm married to an African American, you go back to the ship ways, the slave trade journeys, whereby when they were actually on the seas, higher seas, being transported wherever they were being transported, a lot of them died from diseases, others were killed. But any African American who was killed at that particular time or thrown in the sea, a cloth was torn from them as a loan, and it was tied on whoever had actually the audacity to do the miniature. Those who succeeded to reach the mainland now had to count how many were thrown in the sea.
Wow.
And that's why they came up as a means of resistance. That if we die, we remember this symbolic gesture of our brothers and sisters who died over the sea. That's why they started wearing that as a sign of victory.
Wow.
And that's why you see them wearing that when they are going for basketball and what have you. I'm wearing a durag to free us from captivity of the Western culture and dictatorship in Africa.
Okay.
That's why I shed my suits. That's why I shed, because I am not free until I'm free. But when will I be free? Is by looking at the preamble of our nation. Is what is written in the preamble really meaningful? Is our national anthem really meaningful? You go and read about sing about Mungu Nguvu Wetu. For what? Then you come to Shujaa celebrations. Who are the people that are being celebrated? Who are the people that are being given gongs today? Look at, I mean, it's becoming a joke. And that's why me, as the future president, or the intended president of that country, I might be mad at this particular time, but I'm asking Kenyans to re-examine me. We need a calibration of total change. And that's why you see Tanzanians believing in me, Ghanaians believing in me, Mozambicans believing in me, Eritreans, and I'm also currently representing the Tigrays in the conflict between Tigrays and the ruling class in Ethiopia. Why me? But our Kenyans do not look at me. But do I really care? Those who can give me an audience like you have done, those are my brothers.